driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
This segment is being brought to you by King Lion. King Lion, 24-hour roadside emergency auto service in the Washington, D.C. area. Mobile mechanic, auto parts, including parts delivery services. King Lion, 540-773-9019. King Lion even offers a free oil change with every car wash. Mobile car wash and detail services are available throughout D.C. Timely, efficient, King Lion for fast service. That's King Lion, 540-773-9019. King Lion, 540-773-9019. 540-773-9019.
The following is a presentation of Unidentified Entertainment and 22nd Century Radio, Manassas, Fairfax, Washington, D.C.
Welcome back to Time and Space. Mike Smith at Time and Space US, talking about who's your religious leader. There's a larger point I'm kind of making as we move along here, so try to be patient. You know, the paradox of who is your leader, the paradox to me is even worse here in the United States, because we have Catholics, we have Lutherans, we have Baptists, we have Mormons, we have Episcopalians, and somehow not one name comes to mind as to, you know, a leader, well, except for the Pope. In a way, this seems to provide cover to Lutherans and Baptists and Mormons and Protestants, if you will. It provides them with this cover, right? Because when people want to criticize Christians, they attack the Pope. Let's be clear about the distinction, okay? We're going to use a basic logic formula here. Real simple. All Catholics are Christians, but not all Christians are Catholics. Okay? If you don't understand that, you might want to grasp that specific concept. Try asking Episcopalians or Baptists or Lutherans, do they adhere to the statements and teachings of the Pope? Not so much. And trust me, this is a two-way street, right? Catholics are not exactly tracking with those denominations, necessarily. Nearly all of them are breakaways from the Catholic Church anyway. That's why they're called Protestants. Nevertheless, the Pope seems to serve as some sort of a catch-all, right? He's like a lightning rod. He's this magnet for all the hatred and criticism that's aimed at Christians, even when many of those Christians are not Catholics. Personally, I've always found this to be ridiculous and unfair, and it's not because I'm trying to just be some defender of the Church. In a way, I would like to see other faiths step up and be accountable and have their leaders out there, right? I know some of this is controversial, but just try to track with me. Why has no one ever torn up a photo of an Islamic leader on Saturday Night Live? Right? Saturday Night Live is based in New York. The response to the 9/11 attacks was certainly not a torn-up photograph. And don't attack me as being Islamophobic or some garbage like that, okay? Because one, you're wrong, and two, I haven't finished yet. Okay? I'm not endorsing the idea of somebody doing that. It's just that the hypocrisy of O'Connor's little protest always stood out to me. If she was so outraged by the child abuse scandal, where exactly is she on the Boko Haram kidnapping? Right? Kidnapping schoolgirls. Where is she on female genital mutilation or any of that? She's nowhere because she's nobody. And if somebody was listening to her, I assure you she wouldn't know the name of one Islamic leader, but whatever. I'm trying to double back to a completely different point, okay? A completely different point that I made earlier and then I just illustrated. Okay, obviously, all of Islam is not represented by Boko Haram, right? Of course. I'm sorry, I'm laughing to myself here for a moment. I can hear the dozens of types of reactions that I'm probably going to be getting to this. In some ways, this kind of seems to be part of a almost a sinister genius, if you will, of militant Islam, right? Who do you speak to? There is no negotiation. There's no central figure to focus on. Who's going to attend a religious summit, some sort of peace summit? You couldn't communicate with Boko Haram leaders, not that you would want to. And then the bigger question, does Islam reject them? They should, right? How do you stop the horror they inflict? I mean, these are interesting, important questions people would like some answers to. Maybe in my lifetime, that'd be great. But again, we're trying to illustrate a larger point. Okay, many Christians reject these kinds of things within Christianity. Westboro Baptist certainly doesn't speak for Christianity. Of course. You've got that lunatic, Koran-burning pastor, right? Where is that clown? In Florida somewhere? This confused, hate-filled maniac. He certainly doesn't speak for all Christians. Of course. Still, there's the Pope, out in the open, right? And in some ways, I guess the point I'm making, I've always found the papacy, the office, to be a fascinating illustration of courage and commitment and bravery. Even if there's things that this Pope does or previous popes may have said or done that were controversial, I mean, hi, there he is. He's out there. He's accountable. Go talk to him. You know, write him a letter, whatever way there is. But you know who he is. You can point at him and attempt to communicate with him. He's another person. Now, speaking of ankle deep, there's so many subjects to get into with this. The Catholic Church child abuse scandal, just very quickly, look for a segment on that in the future. That segment is going to be about the Boston Globe. I'm looking forward to stoking that story that didn't get nearly the kind of coverage it should have. Talk about rampant dishonesty and fake news. But that'll be coming up on the Time and Space radio show. Back to the Pope, though. Currently, of course, Pope Francis. I mentioned I wanted to hit on a few topics. And again, all of these are going to blossom into their own shows later. I mentioned the Boston Globe, the child abuse scandal, for the record, of course. An indefensible scandal. Also, before I go any further, I'm not sure I was clear about this earlier. I want to make sure this is on the record, okay? I'm not a defender of the church. That's capital C, Catholic Church. I'm not a defender of the church necessarily. I'm a defender of all churches, okay? I'm not an apologist for Catholics. I'm defending all faiths in several ways. They're all right and valid and true and have been distorted in many cases. To briefly touch on a major topic that I can't wait to cover in depth, actually, there's only one group, in my humble opinion, that has it wrong. One group. Atheists. I have some very strong opinions about atheism. I do, and I really am looking forward to leveling some of that information for you listeners. That's a topic I was really eager to get to in the previous iteration of the show, and I will definitely be getting into it in this case. But, you know, and there's another group to point to real quick before we take another quick break. Ask yourself, you know, who's the leader of the atheists? Richard Dawkins, whatever that clown's name is. Good grief. So anyway, atheism coming soon on the Time and Space radio show. Listen, we got to take another break. We'll get back to the Pope in a second. Have some interesting stuff. He was in the news, and a couple of other points I wanted to make about the church before we wrap up for the week. But a couple more segments to go, I think, here. Well, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
22nd Century Radio.